I've taken the most flights this year out of any year in my life, just because I've been like trying to save up. And like, so I think it's also like balancing out your personal life with the travel life that you might want to live. And yeah, it can help to kind of just like save up those points for a few years, get a few cards, get used to the whole system.
Hey there, points people! You just heard a clip from Daniel Braun. Daniel currently runs a YouTube channel that teaches millions of viewers everything from credit card basics to how to get more value out of their points and miles. And he has grown the channel to over 100,000 subscribers in 2 years. In this episode, Daniel and I go through our wallets. We're letting you in on the cards that we use every day, which cards we have that we don't really use, and which cards we don't think are really worth having. Daniel also highlights the Chase Freedom Flex in his trifecta strategy, emphasizing its ability to earn valuable Chase Ultimate Rewards points without any annual fees. If this sounds interesting to you, check out the Chase Freedom Flex card. You can easily earn 5x on nearly anything this quarter, since one of the special bonus categories is PayPal. All you need to do is link your Chase Freedom Flex to PayPal and earn 5x on any purchase that you make with PayPal. Remember, if you decide to apply for the Chase Freedom Flex or any other card, never apply directly through Google. Always use a friend or creator's referral link. And if you're interested in supporting this show when you apply for your next card, check out geobreezetravel.com/cards. And if you're not sure what card is right for you, I offer free credit card consultations at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. And we have the links to the Chase Freedom Flex and the free consultation form for you in the show notes as well. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Geobreeze Travel Podcast, a show for anyone wanting to level up their travel hacking lifestyle. I'm your host, Julia Menez. I'm a travel hacker, coach, speaker, Filipina-American ENTJ who loves solid travel gear and using shortcuts on spreadsheets. On this show, I'm on a mission to bring you travel hackers from all walks of life to help you level up your travel hacking game. We dive into credit cards, miles, points, strategy, mindset, and the secrets behind how to travel the world for next to no cost. So, let's get hacking. Do you love to travel but hate the high cost of flights? One of the most efficient ways to save on flights is to outsource finding deals, saving yourself hours of search time. Thrifty Traveler is an email subscription service for exclusive flight deals and fantastic discounts. They'll send you deals with average savings in the hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, straight to your inbox. For example, they recently sent out deals with flights to the UK for $300 instead of the usual $800 sticker price. There was a deal to fly round trip to Tahiti for less than 80,000 points. Or you could jump on a flight to Greece for $597 instead of the usual $1,000. But these great deals never last long. If you want to start saving hundreds of dollars per flight, sign up today at thriftytraveler.com and use the code GEO10. That's GEO10 to save $10 off of the annual subscription. Thank you to Thrifty Traveler for partnering with this episode of the Geobreeze Travel Podcast. Hey, Daniel, welcome to the Geobreeze Travel Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Julia. I'm really excited to be here.
I am too. I'm also excited to do a different format today where we're going to be walking through our wallets and what cards we use on a day-to-day basis versus which ones we have that are just kind of sitting there, not used too often, and which ones maybe we should just close down.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. I know it's a pretty popular YouTube format. I see everybody making those videos, and I'd probably make one of those once a quarter now too. So it's always changing up, but it's good to talk about what's in my wallet.
I don't think I've ever shown people what's in my wallet. So you guys are getting a fun view today.
Sneak peek.
Yeah. Before we jump into all of that, tell us about you and how did you get started in the world of points and miles?
Yeah, so it really was purely a financial type of thing. It was really about saving money. So I graduated college in 2018. I was always into business and finance as a finance major. So always was into watching all the YouTube channels, the Graham Steffens and Ask Sebi, for credit cards and stuff. And then kind of got into my first job after college. Money wasn't it was a little tight. It was kind of a little bit of paycheck to paycheck. Really didn't save much, have much left over at the end of every month. But I was fortunate enough to kind of go on a trip with my family and my brother and his Division III college basketball team over to Ireland. That was my first time leaving the country back in 2018, right after I graduated college. So that kind of opened up my eyes to the world of travel, seeing new places. And it really kind of got me thinking hey, I want to do this more. I need to save up money, but maybe I can, save up a little bit, start traveling more over the next few years, make that a part of my life. And yeah, so I really eventually kind of turned to the credit cards as a way to bridge the gap between wanting to travel, but also wanting to budget and save money. And, like I said, it's came across all those like, YouTube finance videos, the Reddit threads, websites, points guy, all that stuff. And yeah, eventually kind of like got into getting like the Chase credit cards first, started booking my first, I think I used the Chase travel portal to book like a hotel stay right before the pandemic. And I was like, that's cool. I just got this free 2-night stay. And, I came to learn it was actually probably not the best use of the points, but it was enough to get me going and down that rabbit hole. And then I just kept going and going. And eventually in 2021, I started the YouTube channel just to like join the conversation pretty much. Like I said, I was enjoying watching all these people make videos, and I wanted to do more than just like comment and share the videos and all that. So I started making just really basic, like it was more like a broader, like personal finance type thing. And then I unboxed, I think it was my 4th ever video. I unboxed the Amex Platinum card, and I tried to make it like a close up of the card, did a little drop test, and it seemed to resonate with people enough that like that video stood out and got way more views, like a few thousand views, but for a 4th video, that was plenty for me. And, so that was kind of like my hint that there's some interest in the credit card stuff. And, that was really like something that was this like budding, hobby for me at the time. That was maybe my 5th or 6th card. So I kind of just sort of grew the YouTube channel and documented my credit card process along the way. And I've learned so much. And it's funny, like teaching people about things, you really kind of just go deeper down that rabbit hole. You learn more, you research a ton. So now it's just like I pretty much memorize, and I'm sure you're the same way. Just like you memorize all these things about these credit cards and how to transfer them, the airline alliances, all that stuff, which has just been like kind of a side effect of me teaching people on YouTube. So it's been incredibly rewarding. And then the YouTube thing just kind of grew over time that I was able to leave my job and do this full time. So it's awesome because I just love YouTube and I love credit cards. So it's like the perfect intersection of those two passions of mine.
Congratulations on getting to go full time. I know that's a lot of people's dream is to be a full time YouTuber. And I was looking through some of your most viewed, most popular videos. A lot of them have to do with American Express. Is there a reason that your audience resonates so much with the Amex products, or is there something else going on there?
I don't know. I think that it really has to do with like sort of the brand image that Amex has developed over the years. It's just like this premium card, the platinum card, the gold card, that people see it as like a status symbol still sometimes. Not everybody, but like a lot of people do see it and they're like, oh, you got the Amex. Like, but it's just like, it's really not that hard to get approved for as long as you have decent credit and a little bit of a credit history going on there. And yeah, I've found that just in my research that those seem to be the views that like have the highest search volume on YouTube, just, way more for the Amex Platinum, Amex Gold compared to anything from like Citi or Capital One. The more premium cards tend to get more search volume. So now the Venture X has started to get pretty popular, the Chase Sapphire cards. And I think it's just those premium cards that give you all the aspirational benefits of, transferring the points and doing the business class stuff, or, the ones that give you the lounge access. And yeah, as travel is kind of like exploded post pandemic again, that I think people just kind of are looking for ways to get into it. And yeah, the credit cards are just a perfect way to save money, but also do more of those trips that people wouldn't normally pay cash for, like, business class flights and all that stuff.
What are your thoughts on the Amex Platinum lately, given they've changed so many things like the digital entertainment credit, they've made lounges a little bit more restrictive, changed some sign-up bonus things. Has your audience still been like, it's still worth the hype, it's still great, or what are your thoughts on the Amex Platinum these days?
That seems to be like the most controversial card out of everyone, just because people really do view it as like this metal coupon book. And there's people that are very passionately for it and people that are passionately against it. There's really no in between. So I'm someone that's definitely for it because the credits truly do make sense for me, that the effective annual fee is it's very minimal or nothing. And I go to the lounge, if I'm traveling once per month or something like that, so I'm going to the lounge at least 12 times per year, if not more. It's a card that works for me, but that digital entertainment credit, taking away Audible, I was using that for Audible. So luckily we subscribe, me and my fiance subscribe to Hulu. So we're able to switch it up and use it for that. But yeah, it's a card that's not going to work for everybody because it is expensive and that's the barrier to entry. But for people that are traveling, especially, maybe consultants that got to spend a lot of time at the airport, maybe that airport lounge access is just really appealing. And I think that a lot of business travelers have seen the card as a way to get access to those things and just make travel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, the Platinum card is something that still works for me, but it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And I think that's really important to hammer into people is like, we're going to go into our wallets and what cards we carry every day. Just because these are the ones that work the best for us too doesn't necessarily mean it's the best combo for everyone else. So we'll also try to talk through different alternatives for people as well, because everyone's situation is a little bit different. But let's jump into our wallets and kind of talk about what cards we have. So how many credit cards do you have in your wallet?
So I really do try to keep things minimal just because it's like I have this very thin Ondar wallet that I try to not cram a bunch of cards into here. So this holds, it probably could hold maybe like 6 or 7 cards. I usually have, I believe, like 5 in there right now. So I kind of keep like my most used card at the front here. You could probably, if anybody's seen this on video, but it's the gold card here in the front, just because that's the one that's, and I have a lot of these loaded to my Apple Pay on my iPhone as well. So, I don't always need to take out my wallet, but for that, it's just, restaurants, grocery stores, getting 4X on that. So that's like my easy access card in the front of my wallet. And then I have another little pull tab in my wallet here. That's just my Catchall card for anything that doesn't fall under a normal higher multiplier category. So for me right now, that is the Chase Freedom Unlimited. A lot of other good cards that earn, 2X points like the Venture X, City Double Cash. But for me, the Freedom Unlimited, I've really enjoyed just being a part of the Chase ecosystem. And I know that 1.5x points per dollar on everything with that card is really going to be more like 3% back or 4.5% back, as I'm getting more value for those points when I transfer to Hyatt, which typically is, I'd say, like 3/4 of the time is what I'm doing with my Chase points is transferring to Hyatt, and then tend to earn the Amex points for the flights because they have a lot of really good airline transfer partners. So I think it's really important to figure out the cards that you want to have in your wallet, but don't just think about the earning side of things, think about the redeeming side of things as well, and what you plan to use those cards for, and kind of craft your setup around that. But those are my top 2 cards, kind of like easy access cards. So maybe I'll turn it over to you. You can start to dig into your wallet, and then we can get into the rest of mine too.
Yeah, I have the Amex Gold as well. That one's near the front of my wallet because our restaurant budget is aggressive these days. We go out to eat a lot in Las Vegas, like multiple times a week. It's probably like $50 or $60 or more multiple times a week for me and my husband. So we get a lot of Amex points. People are like, how are you earning so many points? And I'm like, well, we eat a lot. We go out to eat a lot at restaurants, a lot of grocery shopping as well. So that's near the front of mine. My husband's usually with me whenever we need to buy miscellaneous things, and he has the Venture X in his wallet. So that's our usual miscellaneous go-to, 2X everywhere. He does also have the Freedom Unlimited in his wallet, but I just told him today, I'm like, you don't really need that. If we can get 2X everywhere, we don't need to get 1.5X everywhere. And we have other ways of getting Hyatt points, which we'll talk about in a little bit, since I think that's what you're using the Chase points mostly for, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm actually curious so if you're spending a lot of money at restaurants, because I've been starting to spend more on dining out as well. I've seen a lot more of these restaurants charging that 3% surcharge for credit cards. Is that something you see a lot in your area? And what are your thoughts on that? Because, I definitely view having a card like the Amex Gold as like an advantage to kind of get around that a little bit. But what are your thoughts?
It happens with some restaurants, and with a lot of them, I think it might just be baked in, or I'm just not paying attention to the receipt enough. I always just look at the end price, because some people are like, oh, it's more expensive because they have these taxes and fees for different cities and whatnot. I always just look at the end price. And in my mind, I'm just like, New York is more expensive than Las Vegas, which is more expensive than Omaha, Nebraska. And I don't really pay attention to what's getting baked in there. I'm just like, how cheap or expensive is it to kind of go out for a night on the town in a given city?
Yeah, no, that's fine. And yeah, it's a good point. A lot of times it's either baked into the price, or it's just they're for some reason charging an upcharge in that. I noticed that a lot. I just went up to Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and there seemed to be a lot of just smaller mom and pop shops that were charging that 3% fee. I think one of them actually said, hey, we're only charging that fee for Amex if you're paying by Amex, and then the other ones were fine. But I mean, my thoughts on that is I've had a few local restaurants too where I noticed it, and it's either you could pay with cash or a debit card. First of all, I don't ever have that much cash to pay for a $50, $100, restaurant bill. And second of all, if you have to have the choice between saving 3% by paying in cash versus paying that extra 3% with the Amex Gold card, at least you're earning the 4X points to basically offset that fee and then some depending on how you're using those points. But it's just like an interesting like development. I feel like maybe it's just me like with the credit card stuff, just like noticing it more and more as I've kind of been like out and about. But it's certainly not everywhere. And it seems to be that like Amex is like the real bad guy that gets like the higher, I guess it's just, higher interchange fees. So they're trying to offset that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. The interchange fees are definitely higher with Amex versus Visa or MasterCard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, interesting though. So those are the two cards. My fiance just got the Venture X as well. I actually got denied for that twice just because I think I've opened so many recent cards over the past like 24 months. And, granted, like the Venture X is a fairly new card, came out in late 2021. So I think they were approving a lot of people for it just right off the bat. And then they kind of slowed down, maybe started like looking at potential new customers as profitable versus unprofitable. And if they see me with, I think I was at recently when I got denied last month was at 5 personal new cards over the past 24 months. And that's slowly going down now. I've been applying for more business cards lately. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that I think they saw me as like a not profitable type of customer, opens a lot of cards, probably going for the sign-up bonuses. And then my fiance applied the same day and was instantly approved for $20,000 limit. And she only has 5 or 6 cards at that time. So yeah, that's a card that I really wanted. And now I actually do have that. I have that authorized user card. So she added me. So I got the workaround to get it anyway. So that's, as we're kind of joining our finances here, getting married next year, that's actually going to be probably like our go-to catch-all card going forward as well.
Makes sense. What else do you have in your wallet?
So then we go into the wallet itself, and it's really only like this with this wallet that I use. There's kind of 2 card slots at the top here. So one of them is typically going to be the Citi Custom Cash as my gas credit card. And I think that's important because you want to have a physical card in your wallet for whatever gas card you might be using, because not all gas stations are taking the Apple Pay. So typically it's the Custom Cash because I'll just use that one card only at gas stations to kind of lock that in as my default 5% back card. But right now it's the Freedom Flex in its place right now. I'd rather earn the Chase points just because I have Sapphire Preferred to unlock the greater value for those points. Whereas with the Citi Custom Cash, I don't have any other like higher Citi card to unlock transfer partners or whatever. So it's just purely like a cashback card, the Custom Cash for me. But yeah, so the Freedom Flex is my gas card right now, and it's going to expire shortly here as the third quarter comes to an end. But Freedom Flex will go back out of my wallet, become like another card that I think PayPal's just recently announced is the fourth quarter 5% category. So that'll be my like online shopping card come like holiday season and all that, which is good. And then at the top here inside my wallet, I have the Built MasterCard. So that's one where it also, I'm still renting right now and locked into a decently cheap rent for a 2-bedroom place that I have. And I think it's like $2,200 or $2,300 a month that me and my fiance pay. And so putting the rent on the Built MasterCard at least gets us like something in return. Whereas before that was like kind of spending that was going to waste. I really like Built Card just because it is no annual fee, transfers to Hyatt and even American Airlines as well. I fly American like almost all the time out of my home city of Philadelphia. So yeah, that's another really used card. You do have to use it 5 times every statement period. So I tend to make it also my coffee card. So what's cool is like being self-employed, I can kind of go and work anywhere during the day. And my go-to spot is usually like a coffee shop somewhere. So that's like my coffee card, charge, $3 or $5, whatever it might be for coffee, and do that a few times per month. And then I'm all set earning the Built points for rent. So yeah, that's kind of that. I think I do have maybe one other card buried in here behind my license. I have actually 2. So I have a debit card, and then I have currently the card that I'm working on a sign-up bonus for right now, which is the American Airlines. I forget the actual name. It's $95 per year American Airlines business credit card. So again, flying American Airlines a lot, especially more for like business travel, going to just different events and stuff like that for the YouTube channel. That's now going to be a card that I use more often. And I can get like 60,000 bonus points or American Airlines miles pretty shortly here. And then the debit card that I have is the famous Charles Schwab investor checking debit card. So no ATM fees. Although I did lose my PIN number. So I tried taking out cash just the other week and I was not able to because I either didn't set up my PIN or I forgot it. Something like that. So that's my debit card that I have in there right now. But yeah, then the other cards that I cycle through are kind of like, they're going to change from month to month. Again, all kind of depending on what the Freedom Flex rotating category is, if I'm working on the sign up bonus at the moment. But I think that kind of covers like highest spend categories. Like I said, I have the Sapphire Preferred as well. Usually get some like generic travel expenses on there. Amex Platinum. If I'm ever booking a flight in cash, I'm going to use the card for that. So but that's kind of like my daily carry that I got with me right now.
That City Custom Cash card is very underrated. I think more people should do that for a gas card. 5% back on your top category. So whether you want to use it as a dedicated grocery card, if you're like, I'm not really going to use all the credits on the Amex Gold to justify that $250 annual fee, City Custom Cash could be a good alternative option. Or if you want to make it a dedicated gas card, that'd be great too. We have an electric vehicle and our apartment complex has EV charging stations on site. So I didn't realize that when we got an electric vehicle that I thought we would have to go up to some kind of charging station and pay money for it. Apparently, most of them are free in Las Vegas. They're just like a shopping mall or something. And then you just drive up, or like a restaurant strip mall, and then they have EV chargers for you. And you can just park your car, go shopping, eat lunch, and then your car is good to go. So we never have to pay for gas again. So I don't have a gas card.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I just drove an EV card for the first time on the way to Cape Cod. We flew into Boston. And actually, side note, Hertz President Circle status on Venture X or Amex Platinum, very underrated benefit that I took advantage of just to there's a huge line at the rental car counter. We had a reservation ahead of time. President Circle allows you to just walk up, take a car and get on your way. So it was super easy and stress free. Another good reason to have a premium credit card like that. But that was my first time driving an electric car. And we charged it somewhere on Cape Cod for free as well. We actually ran out of charge pretty quickly though, because it was very slow charging. So that was my first ever experience with the EV stuff, but it's definitely pretty convenient.
How'd you like it versus a gas car?
I actually really liked it. It felt more like I was maybe it was just I forget what car I had, like a Chevy Bolt or something like that. But it felt like I was driving a golf cart or something like that. It actually picked up pretty fast. So I kind of liked it. I could see myself eventually getting some sort of an EV in the future.
Yeah. Now that my husband's driven it and it's so smooth, he's like, I can't go back to the gas cars because he's they're just so shaky compared to the super smooth electric vehicle ones. I don't drive much. I make him drive everywhere. I think I've driven it once in the last few months. And it just kind of felt like you were coasting on neutral, but down an interstate. So I'm oh, this is kind of weird because I'm is the car on? But it's very, very smooth.
It's smooth and quiet. Yeah, no, I liked it too. So it's pretty cool that you get to drive that around everywhere. Now I go back to my gas car. So we'll see in the future. Maybe we'll get something.
Yeah, I have the Built card in my wallet as well. We use that for our, once again, very aggressive going out to eat budget. On the first of every month, I am going to get those 6x points on restaurants for rent day. And then for the 5 charges every month in order to get the rent points, we just use that as our subscription card. So I'm pretty sure Netflix is on there. My husband subscribes to a couple Patreons. Those are on there. And I think there's a couple charities that we donate to every month, just $5 or $10 that's auto paid to those charities. So those all go to the Built card. So we don't have to think about it at all. But I love your solution of having it be your coffee card. Because if you're going to go out for coffee every week or so, that's a good way to get through the 5 required charges.
Yeah, it's funny. And all these, with the custom cash and Built card, they all have the rules in place and they're pretty easy to kind of get around and just take advantage of those rules in your own way. With the custom cash, they probably want you to spend on different categories with that card, but the savvy people just use it for one category or the Built card. Like you just said, a lot of people put it on smaller recurring expenses like you guys do. But I'm sure Built would rather everybody just use it as the go-to card for everything. But it's easy to just use it the way it's intended for rent and a few small transactions every month, and then you just get the points that otherwise would just, like I said, you would not be able to earn. So I think I earn 27 or 28,000 points per year transferred to Hyatt. That's over $500 worth of value just at a simple 2 cents per point. So that's a few nights at a hotel anywhere for just paying my rent, which is cool.
We transferred most of our Built points over to Virgin Atlantic during that transfer bonus, where I think we got 125% transfer bonus. So 30,000 points. And we were able to, 30,000 each. So maybe 60,000 total. And then that doubled and we got 2 flights in Virgin Atlantic upper class from London back directly into Las Vegas for next year. So I'm very excited about that. And we got so much value out of those Built points by taking advantage of that 125% transfer bonus. So I'm excited for that one. That's up there for like best valuations I have, I think.
Yeah, the transfer bonuses like that are crazy. They've been having some good transfer bonuses, which is really nice to see. Even with like Chase and American Express, there's been a couple good, like really good, even 30% transfer bonuses. But it really does help to like carry the points even further for those types of flights.
For sure. You mentioned you move most of your points into Hyatt. So I actually have a Hyatt card in my wallet just because I'm at hotels quite a bit. You don't carry any dedicated hotel cards?
So I do have that Hyatt card as well. I'll carry it with me if I ever go to stay at a Hyatt. And then actually, I think this was maybe a few months ago. I was down in Austin, Texas, and stayed at a Hyatt, and I just ended up eating lunch down at the hotel bar, like for the 3 days that I was there. And it's earning 9x back just being a Hyatt member, having the Hyatt card. And yeah, so that's actually like a super good card. For me at least, like because Hyatt tends to be what I'm like most loyal to at the moment, that's like a no-brainer. And then you get like the free night on top of that. So it's like a $95 annual fee, but you get the category 1 to 4 free night, easily offsets that. Yeah, so I think that's one of the hotel cards I have. I also have a Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card. I really don't use it that much now. I just feel like I've kind of gone away from Marriott for the most part. I'll stay there every now and then, but that's a card that I might downgrade eventually. It's just a $95 annual fee, but I really haven't like been staying at Marriott's like too much. So I might just get rid of the annual fee, keep the account open. But yeah, the Hyatt card is a good card as well. I'll throw that in my wallet whenever I'm traveling.
Yeah, Marriott's my secondary preference for hotels. So I keep the Amex Bonvoy Brilliant in my wallet. I might switch it out for the Amex Bonvoy business card, which I have also because sometimes you can get different discounts by paying with the business credit card. But otherwise, the only other one, I keep the Amex Platinum in my wallet just because I'm going to lounges a lot. Home airport is Las Vegas. So that one, I just whip out my Amex Platinum card so I can get into the Centurion Lounge. And I do keep a Chase Sapphire Preferred in my wallet just because whenever we are abroad, that tends to be my go-to card for the foreign transaction fees. It tends to be more widely accepted abroad versus like an Amex Platinum or something like that. So that's my go-to when I am abroad. And the rest of my wallet is like Vegas membership cards, so I can get free parking and everything like that in Las Vegas. And then driver's license and my global entry card.
Nice. Yeah. With the Sapphire Preferred, have you ever had the Sapphire Reserve, or have you only had the cheaper version? Because that's what I have as well right now. But I'm actually considering upgrading it. I'm not sure.
My husband has the upgraded version. I've always just had the Chase Sapphire Preferred, but he does have the Reserve. So we can use it at Priority Pass restaurants is the main thing that we use that for, in addition to the $300 travel credit. But it's mostly for Priority Pass restaurants, which we find ourselves at quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm considering upgrading it because I just went in Boston, there was the new Chase Sapphire Lounge, which you can get in once per year with like a Priority Pass card. So that's what I did to check it out. And it was like really, really nice compared to like a lot of the Amex lounges I've been to. And luckily Philadelphia is actually getting one, rumored to be getting one. I think they announced it already and they're just waiting to like figure out when they're going to launch it. But it's like 3 times the size of the Philadelphia Amex lounge. So I'm like considering just upgrading. I'm actually due I got the Sapphire Preferred just over or right around 4 years ago now. So I could get like another sign up bonus. So I might like downgrade the Sapphire Preferred in the next month or two. And then in another couple of months, apply for the Sapphire Reserve to have that card, probably again, like mainly just because of that Philadelphia Sapphire Lounge. I feel like I would go there a lot more if the Amex Lounge it's been getting a little bit crowded. It's definitely pretty small in Philadelphia compared to some other airports I've been to.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're looking to earn more points and miles, there are usually 2 main ways to get there. The first one is with credit card sign-up bonuses, where you can easily earn tens of thousands of points by putting your expenses on a new credit card. If you're in the market for a new credit card, we offer free credit card consultations and provide you with personalized recommendations based on your particular travel goals, budget, and lifestyle at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. And now, back to the show. How about cards that you have that you're not using on a day-to-day basis? Where do you put them all? Sock drawer, box? Where are they?
So I got and this is my desk here, and I think a lot of people have. I know you have something like this too. It's just the credit card binder. So I do have like a few cards in here. So I think I mentioned a few, like the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless is one that I haven't been using too much. I mainly got that card because I was under the Chase 524 rule last year, and there was like a special 5 free night promotion going on. So I took advantage of that, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. I also have the Wells Fargo Active Cash, which was just actually my very first ever credit card from like junior year in college. It was just a basic like Wells Fargo student card at the time. So that's my oldest account. It just got upgraded to the active cash after I was out of college. But that's a card that I use just, really like once every 6 to 12 months just to keep it active. I also do have the Amazon Business Prime card here. That's one that like I will use that for Amazon. Like a lot of my, just for the YouTube business, especially like just the lighting behind me, the microphone, all that stuff has just been like purchased from Amazon. So a lot of the random things are bought from there. I've used it from time to time, but also a lot of times I've been getting, like I said, like new business credit cards, working on sign up bonuses. So I've been just putting a lot of like my business spend on, or like towards sign up bonuses on, I just got the Amex Business Gold and that American Airlines credit card as well. So I also have here the older Chase Freedom card. That was like my first ever card after that Wells Fargo card. So that's just like, again, like it's similar to the Freedom Flex. Just, I just keep the Freedom Flex on me because they're both practically the same thing. But since it's an older account, I just keep it active, use it a few times per year. Got the Ink Business Cash and Amex Blue Business Plus. Those are ones that I use from time to time, but the Ink Cash was really more for like the sign up bonus. And then, I'll keep that active, same thing. So yeah, those are kind of some cards that like I'll pull out every now and then, but like they don't really play as big of a role in my credit card setup, but a lot of like no annual fee cards too. So my point of view is like, as long as they're no annual fee, they're just going to keep aging. Business credit cards with no annual fee, it's no harm to have those. But the main cards in my wallet are the ones that like just for the past 4 or 5 years have consistently been there and, using them all the time.
Yeah, I have a similar binder like that. So my go-to card for most business expenses is just the Amex Blue Business Plus, flat 2x everywhere, up to $50,000 per year, no annual fee. So that's what most of my business expenses go on, except for I do run some ads, and that goes on my Amex Business Gold so that I can get 4 points per dollar on those, which is nice. I have the Amex Business Platinum. Should probably downgrade that. It's a pretty high annual fee. I probably don't get enough out of it to keep it every year. They just keep giving me retention offers. So I've carried it over from year to year, but once I use up those airline incidental credits in January, that will probably be one that's on the chopping block. So it's pretty high annual fee. I think it's $700 or so.
I have the Business Gold as well. Do you ever find yourself using the like I have like now a ton of like Amex points saved up from business expenses and stuff like that I end up using like if there's really no options for flying somewhere, but like I feel like I just have all these points that I'm sitting on, I'll use occasionally like the points rebate feature. I know that those two cards, they have something. I use it every now and then. It's kind of like a feature that I thought's interesting. It's almost like that like 25% points boost with the Sapphire Preferred, but it's just like kind of the other way around. Like you get the points rebate, points coming back to you. So it's kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I have not used them. I thought I would because I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to fly JetBlue Mint, and it's very hard to get JetBlue Mint tickets for any reasonable amount of points through transfer partners. So I'll just use the Amex 35% back through the Platinum. I have not done that in the last 2 years that I've told myself I was going to. So at that point, like I don't need to fly Mint, or I can wait for some kind of deal, or maybe they'll have a transfer partner again in the future. But I travel plenty and haven't really done Mint in the last couple of years. And I've done it once. It was the inaugural from New York over to London. But since then, I keep wanting to fly between New York and Las Vegas, but it just hasn't happened.
Gotcha. Yeah. I
have a whole bunch of those Chase ink cards. So what happened here was back in the day, they were like, oh, to get a lot of points, you need business cards and you need to open a business. So Geobreeze Travel started as a travel agency way back in the day, like a real one. And I didn't like doing it, but I just wanted to get business credit cards. So I got like an Ink Business Unlimited, Ink Business Cash, and all of it was just under sole proprietorship at that point when we lived in Colorado. And then eventually we moved to New Jersey, and I'm like, I need an LLC. So I made a New Jersey LLC, opened up a whole bunch of, I opened up the trifecta again under that LLC because I'm like, well, then I can just use my sole proprietor cards for Staples run shenanigans, and I can use this for actual business expenses. And then we moved to Nevada, and my accountant was like, it's going to be easier if you just open a new LLC. And we closed the New Jersey one rather than doing the whole transfer. So then I opened the trifecta again. I downgraded my Chase Ink Business Preferred that I had gotten in New Jersey, down to a unlimited or something to avoid the annual fee. But I've gotten that trifecta like 2.5 times at this point. So I have a lot of Chase Ink business cards, mostly with no annual fee. I don't use most of them, but there's no annual fee and they don't affect my personal credit. So they're just kind of sitting there. But that's a big chunk of the wallet is all those ink cards from like probably over 5 years at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, the ink cards, I'll probably get the preferred soon as well because they've made the sign up bonus a little bit easier on that one. 100,000 points for 8,000 to spend. That's probably my next one to get. But other than that, yeah, like the ink cards, I don't use too much just because it's funny. Like, I guess I'll look at like my points balances and then kind of base what cards I'll prioritize sometimes as well. So at the moment, I have a lot more Amex points than Chase points. So sometimes I do like lean towards, if I have a business expense that's like going to fall under like a catch-all card, instead of the Blue Business Plus, I'll use the Ink Unlimited just because even though like it's earning half a point less, I'm like kind of want the Chase points more right now just because I have like a stockpile of Amex points. So occasionally that does like play a role into like what cards I tend to use as well.
I'm sure that I'm using the Chase Ink Business Cash for internet since it earns 5x there. We don't have cable. We don't really have a phone bill or anything like that. Google Fi doesn't count as a cellular service like with the Visa coding system. So we are using something that has cell phone protection. It's either the Chase Freedom or the Built card. Because I remember I was at a Built event and my phone like jumped into the pool and it was destroyed. And their CEO, Ankur, was like, "Oh, well, are you paying for your phone bill on the Built card? Because like we cover this for you." And I wasn't at the time. And I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Well, do you have an iPhone? Because they're waterproof." And I was like, "No, it's a Pixel." And he took his phone and just kind of like swirled it in the pool and then let water drip off of it. And he's like, "Oh, that's too bad." And then just like went back to emailing like so nonchalantly like, "Oh, Built can help you with this. Do you have an iPhone?" And I was 0 for 2 on those. So just had to get a new phone.
It stinks. I'm about to get a new phone and I think I might like get the Ink Preferred. I believe that does have a cell phone protection benefit as well, that like I was probably going to put it on there for business purposes and then get a cell phone protection for that. But yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah. Which airline specific cards do you have?
Just that American Airlines card right now. American Airlines is the one that I fly with, or yeah, I definitely fly with them the most. So I got the business card right now just because I'm trying to protect my like Chase 524 status a little bit. I was considering getting one of their personal cards or a couple of their personal cards. But for now, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go with the business card and kind of manage my Chase 524 status to get that down a little bit with the personal cards. And then I'm actually like kind of slowing down the cards a little bit right now. Like I've only opened a few business cards so far this year. And then over the next year, like there's a chance I may be looking to buy a house. So I'm even like slowing down on credit applications just to like manage my credit score as well. But yeah, for right now, that's like my only airline credit card, just because if I'm booking American Airlines, I tend to be able to find deals a lot of the time with British Airways, where even on like domestic flights, I've been finding like I've been having a lot of luck. It kind of helps being like flexible with travel. Like sometimes I'll be like, I can like a couple things I'm flying to in the upcoming weeks. And I'm like, I can either fly in on Wednesday or Tuesday. Let me look at award availability on those days through British Airways to fly American Airlines. And, there's award availability that day. Cool. I'll book that. So I think like having that flexibility has been like, okay, I can use my flexible points currencies to book those kinds of things. But yeah, I don't really have any other like airline credit cards at the moment.
I have that same American Airlines card that you have. I run a lot of spend through it, mostly just to get American Airlines status, which I've gotten through status challenges and things like that. So that helps. I have an Alaska card. I should probably close down. Alaska miles are really valuable, but I just don't use that card very often. I might close down that personal one, get the business one eventually. I have a United Explorer card. I should probably get rid of that one too. As I'm auditing all my cards, I'm like, I don't need most of these.
Yeah.
I always just end up giving up the club lounge passes to clients or something. I do like that it gives me more award space availability whenever I'm looking for award space, but I so rarely use United Miles now. I just use it for finding flights for clients. And I'm like, well, do you have the United Explorer card or not? Here's what your availability will look like either way. But most of the time, we're just booking United flights through Air Canada because it's cheaper with points and everything transfers to Air Canada. So yeah, I think Alaska and United will probably be on the chopping block for me as well.
Have you closed down many credit cards over the years, or like, because I don't, maybe I've closed down a business card, but I actually don't think I've really closed down many. But I'm curious. I'm always curious, like what people, because it's really not that big of a deal to close down certain cards.
They get downgraded more than they get closed. So in the back of my binder are all of my closed cards, which Like I've churned a Chase Sapphire before. I downgraded a Chasing Business Preferred and then got a new one, SPG card from way back in the day. I downgraded a Hilton Surpass into just the free Hilton one. We've closed some Southwest cards just because we don't fly Southwest that often anymore. But otherwise, not too much. We do have most of the hotel cards too. We have the Hyatt card, just the free version of the Hilton one now because we don't use that very often. A couple Marriott cards, and we have the IHG one simply because it's grandfathered in from way back in the day. It's like the old $49 a year one, and it still comes with a free night certificate. Now the new version of the IHG Rewards card costs $89 a year and comes with a free night, which is still completely worth it, but I'm going to hang on to my $49 a year card for the free night there.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, downgrading is always like the way to go. I think the only cards that really like the American Express cards that like, I think if people decide they like want to go the American Express route, then it's like, you can't really downgrade away from an annual fee with those platinum, gold card or whatever. You kind of have to like make that decision what you want to do there. But yeah, for the most part, like downgrading, like I said, downgrade my Marriott. I'm going to downgrade my Sapphire Preferred and then reapply for another one. I think that's like pretty much it. All the other annual fees, like I'm okay with paying right now. I'm not sure. What's your total annual fee? Do you know? I actually am not sure what mine is.
I don't know the answer to that. Like I should. People are like, that's financially irresponsible to not know. And I'm like, we live on so little, like, and I know this episode has made it seem like I'm a crazy person where we go out to eat for $50 or $60 meals multiple times a week. And I've got like a binder full of high-end credit cards. Other than that, we don't spend that much because travel is mostly covered on points. Rent in Las Vegas is relatively cheap. And I cook the rest of our meals at home. I wear the same 10 outfits in every YouTube video and every Instagram video. And I wear the same makeup in every single video. We don't have debt. We don't have a lot of other things. So I don't know our actual annual fee. I know like how much we spend in total per year. And I have a rough estimate of like what categories they're in. But honestly, I don't pay too much attention to it because the gap is like so big between like, okay, here's what we need to live. It's not that much. And then like, we're good to go. If a problem arises, I will start looking through what we can cut, but it's not that much of an issue.
Yeah. No, to me, it's like I don't know my exact annual fee number now. I knew it for a while, and I think I've opened a few recent cards. It's like each card I've already looked at, and it's like I know that, okay, the World of Hyatt card, free night certificate, that annual fees break even or better. Amex Gold card credits plus all the points I earn, that card is break even or better. So it's like each individual card you kind of like look at already, and then every year or something like that, you can kind of like you did right now, just looking through your binder, kind of do an audit of yourself and like, you're like, okay, this card could go, this one could get downgraded. I know a lot of people that pay, just like the thousands of dollars in annual fees, but I'm the same way. Like I'm very minimal. I don't spend money on a lot of stuff. If anything, I was going to spend money on travel, and same thing. Like a lot of my travel costs are covered with the points and miles stuff lately. So yeah, like it's really not that big of a deal for right now.
For somebody who's just starting out where they're like, so do I need this many cards in order to do points and miles? The answer is probably not. Like if you had to say, how many cards do you think somebody would like reasonably need to take a cool trip? If it was just like a single person or a couple, how many cards would they each need in a year to take a cool business class trip?
I mean, I always say like 3 to 5 cards is like a good place to start, especially like for now, like all my family and friends like know what I do for a living. Like anytime I see them, it's always like they're asking me like, hey, what can I do? Can I do this? Can I? And it's cool. Like I usually just tell them to start off with something very simple with no annual fee, maybe that earns the flexible points. So like Chase is for me like a good starting point for beginners because it is like very beginner friendly. If you just go with a Chase trifecta of cards, you can get like that for $95 just with the Sapphire Preferred, 2 Freedom cards. You can earn from the standard sign up bonuses, 100,000 points from those cards. If you're doing like a 2-player thing with a partner, spouse, something like that, you can refer the other person, and then you get another 100,000 points there, plus all the referral bonuses, which is maybe another 30 or 40,000. So right there, that's just over 200,000 points you have just from the Chase cards. And then you can always, like I said, cycle through those down the line too. You can downgrade away from the annual fee there. So I think for a lot of people, like Chase is a great place to start. If you're somebody that really like gets good value from the Platinum card, if you travel, like I said, like truly a lot as a consultant or something like that, then maybe that's a card you could look at as well. But I think the Venture X is another one that's like really good sign up bonus, kind of like a no-brainer card with the way the travel credit and all that stuff works. But yeah, I'd say really you like stick to like 3 to 5 cards to start because you don't want to overwhelm yourself either. It's going to be a big like learning curve. But after doing it for like the first year or two, if you decide that like, okay, I got the hang of this, like I know what I'm doing a little bit now, then you can always like go down the path of getting upwards of like 10 cards plus or whatever, like I've done and you've done. But for the first like year or two, or even 3 years as you're getting into it, stick to like that like 3 to 5, 3 to 6 cards range. You can get some very solid trips out of that. And I think also kind of like evaluating your personal situation is important as well. I know that like for myself, up until like this year, really, I changed jobs once. So I had like a period of time that I wasn't able to take any PTO. I quit my job then and was trying to grow this. So I really didn't want to take any time away from the business. So really only like towards the end of last year and throughout all of this year is when I've really started like traveling. Like I've taken the most flights this year out of any year in my life just because I've been like trying to save up. And like, so I think it's also like balancing out your personal life with the travel life that you might want to live. And yeah, it can help to kind of just like save up those points for a few years, get a few cards, get used to the whole system. But that's kind of like the way I look at it. Usually what I tell people.
Yeah, I like that 3 to 5 card range. It is hard to do stuff with like if you just have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, because then you're earning 1 point per dollar on so many things. But if you get something like the Chase Sapphire Preferred and then layer in like a Chase Freedom Flex, which has no annual fee, that gets you 5x on a lot of special categories. It's going to be super easy in fourth quarter with that category being PayPal. And then get something that earns at least 1.5 or 2 points per dollar, like get a Chase Freedom Unlimited or a Capital One Venture, or if you want lounge access, get a Venture X. Those 3 cards will get you through most things that you need. If you rent, Built Card is a great one to get just because you're spending thousands of dollars per month on rent. You might as well earn points on that. Get 6x per dollar on rent day, food. If you wanted to layer in like one other card, like a City Custom Cash or like an Amex Gold, I also have an aggressive going out to eat budget. That could make sense for you. But like really with those 5 cards, you can easily take a really nice business class trip within a year. And then depending on how much you're spending, even if you just allocate it to those 3 to 5 cards, you're good to go for like one person for the rest of like eternity, just from the amount of spend and the amount of points that you are probably generating from those cards. And then you could open 1 or 2 more per year in order to get more sign-up bonuses. But you definitely don't need to like go crazy and get a dozen cards a year, which some people on the internet make it seem like that's how to succeed in the game. Most people aren't content creators. They don't need to be traveling that much, especially if it's just like a single person or a couple. You definitely don't need that much. If you have 6 children, maybe you could look into opening more cards, but the average person really doesn't need to open more than 2 cards per year.
Yeah, definitely don't like go overboard with it. You should know your spending habits too. Like for example, you know that you're going to go out to eat a lot. So it's important to have a card like the Amex Gold. If you're feeding a family, having the Amex Gold could be a good option as well, just for that grocery category. And if you're a business owner in any way too, you really can like get a ton of value out of credit cards, more so than the average person, because it really does come down to your spending habits at the end of the day. Like if you know your spending habits and you can optimize for whatever your top spend categories are, personal or business, you're just going to be able to earn a ton of points. So having my business now, that's allowed me to earn points more so than I normally would. And that's not to say that that's like a reason to get into business and to try to go that entrepreneurial route. But like, I remember like maybe 3 or 4 years ago and I saw like the ink cards, I saw the preferred got like 3x on advertising. I was like, oh, I should do like drop shipping and then run a bunch of ads. And even if I break even on the drop shipping, I'll earn a ton of credit card points. But that's not like a good mindset to have. But if you have an actual business, and you're able to put business spend on these cards, you can get some pretty good sign up bonuses on that side and some pretty good spending multipliers on the business side as well. So know your spending habits and then optimize for your top spend categories. But yeah, and then once you have the points, try to be strategic with it and really recognize like opportunity cost of, okay, you could redeem them through the travel portal and get maybe 1 cent per point, 1.25 cents per point with Chase. But the opportunity cost is like, okay, well, what if you waited for a really good deal, held those points until there was like a good 30% transfer bonus over to Air Canada or British Airways or something like that. And then you can get even more bang for your buck from the points that you've saved up. So I think really saving up for the transfer bonuses is another like good strategy.
Fantastic advice. And speaking of fantastic advice, could you give a shout out to 1 or 2 other people on the internet who you love following for even more points and miles tips?
Yeah. So, I mean, I really have enjoyed like following a lot of different content creators on Instagram and YouTube and all that for the credit card stuff. And one guy that reached out to me before he even really got into the Instagram game. His name is Chris Gursky. So he goes by Chris Flyer on Instagram, kind of like spells Chris differently, but it's kind of a play on like the Singapore Airlines Chris Fly program. But he's been putting out some really high quality content. He kind of did like an around the world trip for 6 months at the beginning of this year and just flew all these like amazing like business class products with ANA, Emirates, Singapore Airlines, and like all this stuff, and just, you know, funded it with credit card points. I think he did it for like 500,000 points that he had saved up, and he was able to redeem for like $30,000 worth of, I forget what the exact numbers were, but he actually recently visited me here, and I did like an interview with him on my channel. So super interesting guy, lots of good high quality content. And yeah, me and him are working on something as well, but he's a really good guy to follow for really good, you know, high quality credit card and points and miles content on Instagram and YouTube as well.
Perfect. And where can we find you on the internet?
So you could just search Daniel Braun on YouTube. It should pop up there. If you search Amex Platinum, Chase Sapphire Preferred, it'll probably pop up as well, something like that. But yeah, it's just Daniel Braun on YouTube, or my Instagram is @_Dan Braun. So yeah, you can follow me there. I don't really post as much content there right now, but that's sort of just like documenting anytime I am on the road. I'll post some stories and stuff like that.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Daniel, so much for coming onto the show and for sharing with us what's inside your wallet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me. Had a really good time.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Geobreeze Travel Podcast. If any of the cards mentioned in today's episode piqued your interest, please check out the links in the show notes for more information on any of the cards. Also, if you apply for a card using the links on that page, I may receive a commission too, so please and thank you. P.S. I hear the links work better in Internet Explorer or Safari, and sometimes the credit card applications tend to glitch out in Chrome. Additionally, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe to this podcast, leave a 5-star review, and share it with a friend. And if you would like to make even more travel hacking friends, please sign up for the Patreon to access our monthly masterclass hangouts. We dive deep into a particular points program each month, and you'll get to ask all of your travel hacking questions and enjoy being around other people who enjoy points and miles just as much as you and I do. If you would like an invite to the next one, head over to geobreezetravel.com/hangouts to sign up to be on the invite list. Take care and happy travels!